Spoiler and content warning for Saturn apartments. This series talks about death, grieving, and the class system of our modern world. That last one is an especially divisive topic, so I understand if this video is not for you. I've got more videos in the pipeline that might appeal to you, so keep your eyes peeled. But if you're fine with these topics, then I still encourage you to read it for yourself before continuing the video. You have been warned. I want to tell you about my favorite sci-fi manga. It's called Saturn Apartments. The world of Saturn Apartments is an interesting one. Despite the title of the series, it isn't actually set on Saturn. Rather, it's set in a giant floating ring that surrounds the Earth at 35,000 feet in the stratosphere. Earth was damaged to the point where it was uninhabitable and is treated as a nature reserve for the remaining species as they slowly die off one at a time. The ring is split into 3 different layers. The lower level is safe for the working class, people that work as janitors, energy technicians, waste management, and things of that sort. The people that live down there are treated poorly by a good chunk of the people on the upper level. The middle level is reserved for education, licensed hospitals, and police. The upper level is reserved for upper class citizens to live in. Billionaires, politicians, healthcare professionals. Mitsu, our main character, lives in the lower level. Mitsu is an orphan 15-year-old boy. His mother died shortly after giving birth, and his father died working as a window washer, which is the most dangerous job in the world. Mitsu, after having finished school, decides to follow in his father's footsteps and becomes a window washer. His first job is at the same spot where his father died. Window washers work on the outside of the ring and have to wear special equipment since they're so high up. They're also required to wear a tether since they could possibly get knocked off the ring and fall to the surface of the earth, killing them on impact. Aki, Mitsu's father, fell to the surface after his tether snapped. You can see handprints where he struggled to hold on before he fell. Mitsu and his co-worker Jin struggle to clean the window but inevitably get the job done. That is just what happens in the first 2 chapters. Mitsu's ultimate goal is to go to the surface of Earth to see the view his father saw when he fell, but you don't see the seeds of that dream coming true till the middle of the series. The story can be split into 3 different acts, if you will. The first act follows Mitsu's journey as a window washer, the struggles these people face on such a dangerous job, and the clients behind the windows. The second act sees Sota, an acquaintance of Mitsu, work with another scientist named Nishimaru to design a vehicle that can descend to the surface, and ultimately Mitsu is chosen to be the pilot of the spacecraft. The third act sees a lower level locked down by the government after an electrical plant blew up. Things get worse when an officer who lives at the lower level is murdered by someone, and an officer at the upper level is blamed for the crime, which causes the lower level to revolt. Tensions between different classes rise as the lower level continues to be locked down for over a week despite dwindling supplies. That is, until Mitsu descends to the surface, sending a message to the upper level citizens about what the government is doing and the condition of the lower level. It should be noted that Nishimaru had planned to blow up the spacecraft and frame upper level citizens to begin a full-on war between the upper and lower classes. Sota took out the device, preventing things from escalating any further. Mitsu's descent to the surface inspires the upper class and lower class to work together to make living conditions better in the ring and begin to close the division between classes to the point where people aren't seen by their status, but as people. I didn't expect a series about space window washers to get into such deep topics, but I'm glad it did because I think it handles it really well. I've only scratched the surface in terms of themes that the series explores, but here are a few that I want to tackle in this video. The first is loss as explored through Mitsu. The loss of his father plays a big role in this series, as it not only affects him but the people around him as well. Aki died when Mitsu was young, so he doesn't have that many memories of his father. A majority of the things he learns about his father are from secondhand accounts, like the people he used to work with, mainly Jin, the oldest member of the Window Washer Guild, Makoto, one of the younger window washers, and Tamachi, Aki's partner on the job who quit after Aki's death. Mitsu learns that his father was a kind, genuine man. He cared about his job and the clients he worked for, no matter what their status was. He was an inspiration to the other window washers in the guild and became the shining example of what everyone aspired to be. He also loved the views from the outside of the ring. That last bit made Mitsu believe his father's death may have been intentional. Maybe he had enough of life in the ring and wanted to go out on his own terms while plummeting to the surface of the earth. That was until he saw the handprints where his father struggled to hold on and the sharp metal that cut his tether. Because of these secondhand accounts and the memories he does maintain of his father, Mitsu strives to make him proud by becoming as good of a window washer as he was. But at the same time, he wants to be considered his own person, not to go through the constant comparisons between him and his father. Over the course of the series, people learn to stop comparing Mitsu and Aki. Aki is Aki and Mitsu is Mitsu, but that does take a while for it to set in. Mitsu is forced to prove himself on multiple occasions. While not being a brand new concept, I find the idea of a character learning about their parents through secondhand accounts to be really well done in this series, and makes for an interesting journey as you slowly piece together what Mitsu's father was like. I mentioned Makoto not too long ago, and they tie into the second theme I wanted to talk about, which is loneliness. Makoto looked up to Aki and Tamachi, so Aki's death had a big impact on him, and when Tamachi quit soon after, Makoto became cold. He started wanted to push people away and even straight up bullied Mitsu because he was reminded of Aki through Mitsu's actions. He felt abandoned by Aki and Tamachi, and nowhere is this more prevalent than in chapter 33, which is titled Saku. In the chapter, Mitsu and Makoto are working together, and while cleaning a window they receive an outside radio signal. Mitsu believes it's an alien and begins to ask it questions. The alien is named Saku, and we learn that it has been floating around space waiting for commands. He has been doing this for a while and hasn't received any commands in a few years. Mitsu simply asks if they feel lonely, to which Saku replies, "I do not understand. I have never felt lonely." Makoto feels envious about that. After finishing the job for the day, Mitsu enters a packed elevator, and Makoto states that he'll just wait to get on the next elevator. After only listening to Mitsu talk to Saku for the past few days, Makoto decides to talk to them. "Hey Saku, can you hear me?"
This is Saku. What is it?
"Where are you now?"
"In outer space. I can see the planet below me. I am alone. I have been alone for a long time."
To be all alone. I'm scared of that. Being alone in outer space sounds fun. There are always people around me. I find it annoying. They insist on meddling.
"It has been a while since I last communicated, so my words are flowing. I want to confirm. Why do you want to be alone? I've been waiting a long time without any commands. Do you like to be me? To me, being alone is like nothingness, as if I did not exist. Is it your death? Something like that? Do you want to die?"
To die? Have I ever thought about dying? The thing is, Saku, people are far away even when they're close by. My words don't reach them, but they meddle with me.
"That is strange. I cannot understand. You said there are people around you."
Who's keeping them away from me? The next day rolls around and Saku talks to Mitsu and Makoto.
"Dear window washers, the command has finally arrived. This will be my final communication. What is this? There's data I cannot describe. Due to the command I received, I feel light. No, I have not actually become lighter, but I had not been forgotten. Mitsu, Makoto, I recorded your names. Thank you."
The next day, Makoto hears a news report about a satellite named Saku that had been forgotten and will self-destruct on Earth. Makoto rushes to the outside of the ring and watches as Saku plummets towards the Earth and blows up. A creation is told to kill itself by its god. Makoto can only think of Saku's last words, "I had not been forgotten." This story and more helped Makoto realize that people weren't pushing him away. Rather, it was the opposite way around. He couldn't accept that things around him were changing, and as a result, he felt abandoned. But by the end of the series, he learned to accept change and stop pushing people away. I've name dropped Tamachi a few times already, and he ties into the third theme I want to talk about, which is Survivor's Guild. As I mentioned earlier, Tamachi was Aki's partner in the Window Washer Guild. They would work together on a majority of their contracts, and Tamachi was with Aki the day he died. Every night since, he's plagued with nightmares of him trying to save Aki by pulling on his tether, but Tamachi is never strong enough. He quit the day of Aki's death because he blames himself for it happening, even though he had no control over the situation. He now works at the biggest power plant on the lower level. Members of the guild, including Mitsu, keep asking him to come back, but he refuses time and time again. He doesn't want to be responsible for another death. It's only in volume 6 of the manga that things begin to change for him. He has the same nightmare as always, but rather than tug on a tether in one place, Tamachi moves closer and closer as he continues to pull on the tether connected to the person in front of him. When he reaches the figure in front of him, he turns them around and realizes it's himself. He says, "I'm falling. I see. I should have been the one who fell." He remembers something his grandmother said. "You should learn to let your burdens down sometimes." As he's falling in the same spot Aki struggled to hold on, Tamachi summons all of his might and manages to climb to the top of the ring. When he arrives, he's greeted by a familiar voice. "Yes, Tamachi, what are you gonna accomplish by falling?" He looks up and sees Aki standing in front of him. Aki fades away with a smile on his face, and Tamachi is left crying on top of the ring. I believe this was Aki's way of saying it wasn't Tamachi's fault, that he should worry about saving himself before he tries to save Aki. He should let go of this burden. Of course, that's easier said than done in real life, but the reader has seen Tamachi be the Sisyphus-like figure throughout the series, constantly pushing the boulder in front of him until chapter 53, when his boulder finally reaches the top, when he finally saves himself. The last theme I want to talk about is the one that's in the title of this video, and that is hope. With the heavy topics I've touched on in this video, it's probably difficult to think of this series as one that inspires hope. The earth is desolate as it withers away because humans didn't take care of it. The class division of the ring society, an orphan kid working the most dangerous job available in said society, on top of many other things, makes its world look bleak. How does this story have hope? Mitsu provides hope. Despite the conditions Mitsu finds himself in, he always inspires hope. He does this dangerous job because he he loves it. He loves making the windows clean and doing a good job for his clients, not to mention how he helps them with more than just cleaning windows. As an example, one of the earlier clients in the story had an aquarium and wanted water to be put on his window, but since they're at such a high altitude, the water would freeze immediately. So Mitsu gets some film that makes the room look as if it's underwater when light hits the window. Let's not forget his first job as a window washer either. That window he was cleaning where his father died on the lower level, the clients were lower level citizens, and window washers are expensive. So the clients were giving all of their savings because they were getting married, and they wanted to be able to look at the beauty of the surface from the venue. No one else wanted to do the job since that's where the last accident happened. And yet Mitsu, despite being a complete newcomer, volunteers for the job just so he can fulfill the couple's wish. You know the aquarium guy I just mentioned not too long ago? He's an upper level citizen. He gave them the same treatment and fulfilled both of their wishes. Mitsu doesn't care about what class people are in. He doesn't care about some repressive system their society has in place. He sees people as, you know, people with dreams and ambitions just like him. He gave the lower level hope during a bleak moment when he went to the surface and inspired the upper level to team up with the lower level to make real change in the ring. The last chapter, 63.5, flashes forward 5 years in the future, and we get to see just how the ring has changed. It's easier for lower level citizens to enter the upper level. Students are no longer kicked out of college just because they're from the lower level. Patients get equal treatment at hospitals. Things aren't perfect, but they're improving. They're getting closer to the world that Mitsu wanted, where there was no lower or upper level, just people who are getting treated equally. Mitsu is an interesting name. Do you want to know why? It can be translated in English as light. Mitsu is a light for humanity in the Saturn apartments. Hey peeps, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you watched till the end, then I still suggest you go read this series for yourself, as there's a lot of stuff I skipped over, so you'd still have a reason to read it. As an example, there's a couple of chapters where Mitsu becomes the boss of the guild for a few days, and let's just say things get pretty intense towards the end of the arc. Don't expect a whole lot of action in the series because it's mainly a character driven story, not a battle shonen. But that's going to do it for me. I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.